Every autumn, our shed turns into their hotel. Thousands of stink bugs, literally buzzing. At Home Depot, I spent $86 on 3 different products. We tried sprays, traps, even an electric bug zapper. None of them solved the problem. They only moved it around. A month later, I found 4 methods the entire pest control industry stays quiet about. The most expensive costs $5. The rest are either free or sitting in your kitchen right now. Diatomaceous earth is not chemistry. It is glass, made by nature over millions of years from the shells of single-celled algae that settled on the floors of ancient seas. Under a microscope, each particle looks like a shard of porcelain. When a stink bug walks across a layer of this powder, the particles cut through the waxy coating on its exoskeleton. That coating holds moisture inside the insect. Without it, the insect loses water at a rate it cannot compensate for. At 72 degrees Fahrenheit and relative humidity below 60%, standard conditions in an American home in autumn, the bug dies of dehydration within 16 to 24 hours. Ordinary physics of surface tension and capillary loss. All of this from a powder that looks like baking flour. USDA researchers in the 1930s, working at the University of California, systematically tested diatomaceous earth against grain pests in storage facilities. They documented 95% population destruction within 72 hours with no chemical residue left in the grain. The U.S. Department of Agriculture included the method in its recommendations for farmers. The results were convincing. But in the 1940s came the synthetic pesticides, DDT, chlordane. They were cheaper to manufacture, easier to patent, more convenient for industrial scaling. The household insecticide market in the United States runs to $2.3 billion annually in the retail segment alone. The average American family spends $180 to $220 a year on home insect control. A small 8-ounce pack of food-grade diatomaceous earth at Walmart costs around $5, and it is enough to treat every entry point in a standard home for an entire season. This wasn't banned. It was simply erased by the logic of a market where visibility is determined by marketing budgets. Penn State University, one of the main centers for Haliomorpha halis research in the U.S., confirmed the mechanical action of diatomaceous earth as an effective barrier method. But I want to be honest, there are important limitations. Diatomaceous earth loses effectiveness when humidity exceeds 70%. If your basement is damp or you live on the Florida coast, it will be largely ineffective. It does not destroy eggs. It does not work outdoors in rain. And it can irritate the lungs when inhaled, especially in people with asthma. So always wear a dust mask during application. What I needed, a pack of food-grade diatomaceous earth. Food grade, not pool grade, this is critical. 8 ounces for $5 at Walmart or Amazon, a paintbrush, and a dust mask. Tonight, in 15 minutes, I treat all entry points. Gaps around windows, the space behind baseboards, the perimeter of the attic and basement. The layer needs to be thin, barely visible. A thick layer the insect goes around. A thin one it doesn't detect until it's too late. I reapply after every wet cleaning. A technology developed in the 1930s, documented by the federal government, available at any garden center, and not one pest control technician mentioned it in 3 years of my fighting insects. $5 against $480 a year for a service contract. You decide. Haliomorpha halis enters a home through openings the thickness of 2 stacked coins, about 3 millimeters. That is smaller than most people imagine. Joints between siding panels, gaps around pipes, the space under doors, unsealed edges of ventilation openings. For the bug, these are wide-open passages. The first step is mechanical. Seal these entry points with silicone caulk. The second is chemical, a barrier treatment around the perimeter. Bifenthrin, the active ingredient in Ortho Home Defense Max, is a contact neurotoxin from the pyrethroid class. The insect doesn't need to ingest it. Contact with a treated surface is enough. The molecule binds to sodium channels in nerve cells, blocks signal transmission, and causes paralysis within minutes. Even after drying, it remains active on surfaces for up to 3 months. Together, these two steps work as a system. The caulk closes the physical passages, the bifenthrin eliminates anything looking for a way around. Silicone caulk as an insect barrier is not a new idea. In the 1970s, the Cooperative Extension Service, the federal knowledge-sharing program attached to universities, systematically included house sealing in its basic winter pest protection instructions, long before Haliomorpha halis had even arrived in the country. At the time, the target was the Asian lady beetle and the western conifer seed bug. The method worked. It was documented. It was passed on to farmers and homeowners for free through university mailings. And then, silence. Not because the method became obsolete, but because a $4 tube of caulk in no way requires a repeat purchase the following week. It is a one-time fix that permanently solves the problem. Solutions like that generate no advertising budget, and so they never appear in commercials. The pest control market in the U.S. exceeds $26 billion a year. A significant portion of that is repeat call-outs and seasonal contracts. The basic logic of the industry: a solution that works permanently doesn't need to be sold again. A tube of DAP silicone caulk at Home Depot costs $4 to $5 and is enough to treat all vulnerable points in a standard home. A gallon bottle of Ortho Home Defense Max costs $14 to $17 and with careful use covers 2 to 3 seasons, under $6 per year. Compare that with $360 to $540 for 3 quarterly pest control visits. There is a pattern that's hard to ignore. No one pays to advertise a solution that eliminates the need for a repeat sale. I do this every year in the first days of August, before the bugs start looking for their winter hiding places. First, I take a tube of DAP Alex Plus silicone caulk from Home Depot and walk the entire exterior perimeter. Joints between siding and foundation, edges of window frames, pipe penetrations through walls, ventilation openings. The bug squeezes through a gap the thickness of 2 stacked coins. I seal everything wider than a pencil. A standard home takes 40 minutes and 1 tube. Then I take Ortho Home Defense Max with its built-in sprayer from Walmart and apply a continuous 12-inch band around the entire exterior wall perimeter and around every door and window opening. I let it dry. I repeat in 90 days. 2 seasons after starting this, I stopped finding live bugs in the rooms. But if one does make it inside, there is a third method, and it costs exactly as much as what's in your kitchen cabinet right now. The stink bug has 2 powerful instincts we can use against it. The first is phototaxis. It flies toward light. This is an ancient evolutionary program that for millions of years helped insects navigate by the moon and stars, but became a fatal vulnerability in the presence of artificial light in a dark room. The second? The bug cannot swim and cannot escape from a slippery surface. Liquid soap mixed with water reduces the surface tension of water from approximately 72 to 35 dynes per centimeter. This means the bug can no longer stay on the water's surface. It sinks immediately. A pan of water with a drop of soap and a lamp above it is not a folk remedy. It is a system that simultaneously exploits 2 independent vulnerabilities of the same species. In 2014, a team of entomologists from Virginia Tech conducted a 2-year field study across 16 real homes in Virginia. They tested 3 types of traps: a commercial pheromone trap costing over $50, a soda bottle with an LED flashlight inside, and the simplest construction, an aluminum turkey roasting pan, water, a drop of liquid soap, and a desk lamp above it. The results surprised even the researchers themselves. The DIY pan trap showed effectiveness 14 times higher than the $50 commercial product. The study was published. NPR wrote about it. Several major outlets picked up the story. But an aluminum pan for $3 cannot be repackaged into a branded product with a 400% margin. Liquid soap in every kitchen. A desk lamp in every home. Total trap cost $0 to $3, depending on whether you already have the pan. The Virginia Tech 2014 study, real, peer-reviewed, published in the Journal of Extension, confirms the effectiveness of a light and soapy water trap against Haliomorpha halis in domestic settings. But I want to be honest about the limitations. The trap is most effective in early April to May, when activity peaks and bugs are actively moving in search of a way outside, and in early autumn, when they are searching for a way in. In winter, when they are in a state of diapause and not flying, it produces almost no result. Water and electricity in the same location is a safety question. The trap should never be placed where children or pets can reach it, and the lamp must not tilt over the water. And one more thing. In the morning, the pan needs to be taken outside and emptied away from the house, not down the sink, because dead bugs smell even in water. This is not a set it and forget it method. It is a 30-second daily ritual. I set the trap in spring, exactly when bugs are moving most actively inside the house in search of a warm spot. I take a standard aluminum roasting pan, the kind sold at Walmart for $1 to $1.50. I pour in water to a depth of about 1 inch. I add 5 to 6 drops of Dawn dish soap in every kitchen and stir gently so it doesn't foam. I place the pan on the floor in the darkest corner of the room, where I've most often seen bugs, usually the attic, basement, or a corner of the living room away from windows. Above it, I aim a standard desk lamp, not directly over the water but to the side, so the light falls across the surface. I turn off all other light sources in the room. In the morning, I take the pan outside, empty it well away from the foundation, and rinse it. On the first night at peak season, I collected between 20 and 60 bugs. Zero cost, not counting the drops of soap. The $50 commercial trap performed 14 times worse in the same study. You decide. Haliomorpha halis finds its winter hiding places not with its eyes. It finds them with its nose, or more precisely, with chemoreceptors on its antennae and legs that read the chemical composition of surfaces and air within a radius of several feet. Certain molecules, carvacrol in clove, linalool in lavandin, citral in lemongrass, carvone in mint, at concentrations above 50 parts per million, physically block these receptors. They literally jam the insect's sensory apparatus. It stops distinguishing smells, loses its ability to navigate, and flies away. This is not folk magic. It is competitive binding of molecules to receptor proteins, the same mechanism that underlies synthetic repellents like DEET, but without the petrochemical refinery. All of this from oils that people have been using in cooking and aromatherapy for 3,000 years. In 2014, researchers Zhang, Schneidmiller, and Hoover published a systematic study of the repellent properties of essential oils against Haliomorpha halis in the Journal of Applied Entomology. They tested dozens of compounds and found that the strongest effect came from spearmint, lemongrass, and clove oil, on both adults and nymphs. The study was cited. It found its way into organic farming reviews. Organic farmers in Virginia and Maryland adopted it. The essential oils market in the U.S. is $4 billion a year. The pest control market, $26 billion. Between them is a gap that no one is interested in bridging. A 1-ounce bottle of 100% pure peppermint essential oil at Walmart or Amazon costs $5 to $7 and lasts a full season of perimeter treatments on a standard home. A bottle of lemongrass oil the same size, $5 to $8. You can use one or mix them. A seasonal pest control contract for the same result, $360 to $540. The 2014 Journal of Applied Entomology study confirmed the repellent effect of spearmint, lemongrass, and clove against Heliomorpha halis in laboratory conditions. But essential oils evaporate. Outdoors, the concentration drops below the effective threshold within 2 to 4 hours. This means that outside, the method requires daily application or reapplication after every rain. Indoors, it holds longer, up to 8 to 12 hours on porous surfaces like wood or fabric. The method is effective, but it repels bugs rather than killing them. That too is worth knowing. I mix a spray at the start of August and keep it in a spray bottle for the whole season. I take a standard 16-ounce spray bottle, already at home, or $1 to $2 at Dollar Tree. I pour in 2 cups of warm water. I add 15 drops of peppermint oil, 15 drops of lemongrass oil, and 10 drops of clove oil. I shake it and apply to all exterior entry points, windowsills, door frames, joints between materials, ventilation grills. The smell to a human is pleasant, mint and citrus, not chemistry. To the bug, it is a wall. While bifenthrin goes on the outside, the oil protects from the inside. 3 layers instead of 1. For $15 in bottles, once every 2 seasons. A pest control technician charges $150 for a single visit to treat the same perimeter. I chose mint.